All right, let's get right into it. In cybersecurity, the future isn't coming, it's already here, and it is all about AI. We're not just looking at another monthly report today. Nope, we're breaking down the critical threats for January 2026 and handing you the playbook you need to defend against them.
So, where are we getting all this from? Well, this whole analysis is built on some really solid data. We're talking about info from the CVE database. That's the big list of common vulnerabilities and exposures, plus CISA's KEV list, which tracks the stuff that's actually being exploited in the wild, and intel from vulntruck.com. The experts at nuricaps have crunched all this data to give us the clear, actionable picture we're about to walk through.
You know, the whole threat landscape is being completely rewritten as we speak, and the one technology holding the pen? It's artificial intelligence. So for January 2026, the real question you have to ask yourself isn't if AI is going to be part of the equation, is it going to be your shield, or is it going to be the sword pointed right at you?
Okay, let's dive into what this new era of threats really looks like. We are moving way beyond those simple, automated attacks of the past. We are now in the age of autonomous, intelligent threats.
The real game changer here is something called agentic AI. Just think about this for a second. It's basically an autonomous hacking tool. You don't feed it a list of commands, no. You just give it a goal, a mission, like breach this company's network. And then it just goes. It explores the network on its own, finds the vulnerabilities, and puts together a multi-stage attack, all without a human pulling the strings. It's pretty wild.
And because of this new AI power, the whole focus of attacks has shifted. The main battleground? It isn't your firewall anymore, it's identity. AI-driven attacks targeting your credentials, your digital self, are exploding. And look at this number. For every single traditional identity-based attack we see, we're now seeing 82 of these new super sophisticated AI-powered ones. That's a huge shift. Yeah, this isn't about just cracking a password anymore. We're way past that. Now, with AI, attackers can create hyper-personalized attacks. We're talking deep fakes that can perfectly mimic your CEO on a video call, or phishing emails so well-crafted they're virtually undetectable. See, they're not just trying to steal your password, they're trying to steal you, your entire digital identity.
All right, so how exactly are these advanced threats getting in? Let's get into the specifics. Here's the January 2026 kill list, the top vulnerabilities and weaknesses that attackers are hammering right now.
Okay, topping the chart for the common weakness enumerations, the CWEs, is CW74, which is all about injection attacks. And if you look at this list, there's a really clear pattern, right? Attackers, and especially these autonomous AIs, are laser-focused on these kinds of fundamental flaws. Why? Because they're like a master key. They let them take control of software, mess with memory directly. Basically, they just hand over the keys to the kingdom. But knowing the general types of weaknesses is one thing. Now let's get even more specific. We're going to look at CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog, or at the KEV list. And this isn't some theoretical what-if list. No, this is the real deal. These are the vulnerabilities that are being actively used in attacks right this minute. First on our list is CVE-2026-24061. This one's a nasty flaw in the GNU iNet Utils Telnet D service. And what does it do? It lets an attacker get full, unrestricted root access. It doesn't get much more critical than that. And you won't believe how simple this exploit is. It all comes down to the telnet login process not handling command line arguments correctly. So an attacker can just pass the command user-f root, and just like that, the server authenticates them as the root user. No password needed. Game over. From there, a common next step is to write their key to the /root.ssh/authorized_keys file to make sure they can always get back in. Next up, we have CVE 2026-2485. This one is a major flaw in Fortinet's single sign-on, and attackers are absolutely loving it. They're using it to completely bypass authentication and just waltz right into corporate networks. So the big question is, how do you know if you've been targeted? Well, the answer is in your logs. You need to be hunting for these specific indicators of compromise. Look for malicious login emails, things like cloudknock@mail.io, cloudinit@mail.io, or healthtailor12@todomail.com. Keep an eye out for any weird log activity, especially unusual data exports from accounts like audit, itadmin, or secadmin. And this is a big one. Watch for any traffic coming from the IP address 104.28.244.115. It's often masked behind Cloudflare, so you've got to be looking for it. Okay, but these technical exploits, they're not happening in a vacuum, right? They're just one piece of a much bigger, much scarier puzzle. We need to zoom out and look at the global trends that are amplifying all of this.
Cybercrime isn't a cottage industry anymore. Not even close. It has gone completely corporate. We're talking about a sophisticated, industrialized ecosystem. Forget the image of a lone hacker in a hoodie. Today, you have specialized groups, initial access brokers, whose entire business model is just breaking into networks and then selling that access. And then you've got ransomware as a service platforms that make it ridiculously easy for almost anyone to launch a massive attack.
And at the exact same time, you've got global politics just pouring gasoline on this fire. You've got ongoing cyber-physical attacks targeting critical infrastructure in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. You have state-sponsored groups like China's Volt Typhoon who are quietly getting into U.S. critical infrastructure, not to attack today, but to have a foothold for tomorrow. And then look ahead to big events like the 2026 Milan Cortina Olympics. You can bet that's going to be a huge target for politically motivated cyber attacks.
So yeah, with threats this advanced, this widespread, backed by actual industries and nation-states, it can feel completely overwhelming. It's totally understandable. But the question is, where do you even start to fight back? The answer is, you start with a solid plan. A clear, structured defense is always your best weapon.
So let's get right into that playbook. We're going to break down your ultimate defense strategy into two simple tiers: what you need to do right now and what you need to be thinking about for the long haul. Here's the easiest way to think about it. The tactical stuff, that's your immediate first aid. It's how you stop the bleeding right now. This is about patching those vulnerabilities we just covered and nailing down the basics. Your long-term strategy, though, that's about building a fundamentally stronger, more resilient organization that's ready for whatever comes next, even the threats we don't know about yet. All right, here is your 48-hour plan. This is what you do now. First, prioritize that CISA cave list. Your goal should be to get those patched within 48 hours. Seriously, if you've got a legacy system you can't patch, use a next-generation firewall to do what's called virtual patching to block the exploit. At the same time, you absolutely have to mandate phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication. I'm talking hardware keys like FIDO2 for every single user. And finally, secure your APIs. Get rid of any unused tokens and automate the lifecycle management for your machine identities. Okay, that's the immediate firefighting. Now let's talk long-term strategy. And this really requires a different way of thinking. It's a concept called continuous exposure management, or CEM. This means you have to stop thinking about security as a once-a-year pen test or a quarterly scan. It's not a checkbox. CEM is an ongoing process where you are constantly looking at your organization from an attacker's perspective. So strategically, the big goal here is resilience. What does that look like? First, you actually implement that CEM process we just talked about. Second, you have to establish strong AI governance. Create something like an AI control tower to approve and monitor all the AI tools your company uses. And third, and this is probably the most important mindset shift of all, you have to build for failure. Go beyond just trying to prevent attacks. Assume you will be breached. That means having immutable backups and running regular tabletop exercises so you're actually prepared when that day comes. So the question you need to be asking isn't just, are we prepared to defend, but are we prepared to endure? Because really, that's the key takeaway here. The goal isn't just about preventing attacks anymore. It's about building an organization that can take a hit, get back up, and keep on going. That is what cyber resilience truly means for January 2026 and for the future. And that's our breakdown. If you found this analysis helpful, please do us a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Seriously, your support is what makes it possible for us to keep making these explainers. Thanks for tuning in.